All right, so we're diving into Rich Dad, Poor Dad today.
Yeah.
A book that's practically a financial Bible for some people.
Right.
It's changed how tons of people think about money,
Hmm.
and we're going to unpack its big lessons here together.
Yeah.
What's really cool about this book is the author, Robert Kiyosaki,
Hmm.
grew up with TWO dads,
Yeah.
his real dad and his best friend's dad.
That's right. And Kiyosaki calls him poor dad and rich dad.
Okay.
Now get this.
Okay.
Poor dad had a great education and a stable government job,
Mm-hmm.
but he constantly struggled with money.
Huh.
Rich dad, on the other hand,
Yeah?
was a self-made entrepreneur who ended up quite wealthy.
Hmm.
Makes you wonder if maybe there's more to success than just a good job and a steady paycheck.
Totally. Like, what was the difference between these two dads? Was
Yeah.
it just luck or was something else going on?
That's exactly the question Kiyosaki explores.
Okay.
And it leads to the first big lesson.
Okay.
Rich people don't just work for money. They make their money work for them.
Okay.
You remember that story where 9-year-old Robert cleans Rich Dad's warehouse for pennies?
Yeah. It felt like a crash course in the real world for a kid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Rich Dad wasn't just being cheap. He was trying to teach Robert about the rat race.
Okay.
You know, working hard but never getting ahead, always trading time for money.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted Robert to focus on cash flow,
Okay.
how money moves and how to control it.
So it's like, instead of just getting a paycheck, you're building something that makes money for you even when you're not working?
That's the idea.
Okay.
And this ties directly into the importance of financial literacy,
Mm-hmm.
which is Kiyosaki's second big lesson.
Okay.
He argues that most schools don't teach us practical money skills,
Right.
which leaves a lot of people vulnerable.
Yeah.
A core concept here is understanding the difference between assets and liabilities.
I think I get that. Like, a house you own and rent out is an asset, but a
Mhm.
fancy car you buy is a liability, right?
Exactly.
Mhm.
The car loses value and costs money,
Yeah.
while the rental property generates income and might even go up in value.
Mm-hmm.
See, it's not just about how much you make, it's about what you own and how your money's working for you.
Okay.
Kiyosaki created this thing called the cash flow quadrant to illustrate this.
Okay, what's that all about?
He basically divides people into 4 categories:
Okay.
employee, self-employed, business owner, and investor.
Okay.
He argues that aiming for the business owner and investor quadrants is key to building real wealth.
Gotcha.
This also brings up another important concept:
Okay.
compound interest.
I've heard of that, but honestly, it kind of makes my head spin.
It's a simple idea with powerful results.
Okay.
Think of it like this. If you invest $1,000 today at a 7% return,
Mm-hmm.
it'll grow to over $10,000 in 30 years,
Wow.
just from the magic of compounding.
Okay.
But if you wait until you're 35 to invest that same amount,
Right.
you'll only have around $4,000 when you're 65.
Really?
That's why starting early is so powerful,
Yeah.
even if it's with a small amount.
Wow, I never thought about it like that. I guess time really is money.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that leads us to lesson 3, mind your own business.
Okay.
Now, this isn't just about starting a company.
Right.
It's about knowing the difference between your job, what you do for a paycheck,
Yeah.
and your business,
Mm-hmm.
what can potentially make you wealthy.
Okay.
Rich Dad encouraged building a side hustle
Mm-hmm.
or a second income stream.
I guess it's kind of like what a lot of people are doing now with freelancing and online businesses.
You're right.
Yeah.
Rich Dad was ahead of his time in some ways.
Mm.
He often talked about real estate as a wealth-building tool.
Oh, okay.
For example, he'd buy rental properties.
Right.
The tenants pay the mortgage. The property value goes up.
Mm-hmm.
And he's building wealth passively.
That sounds great, but isn't that a risky strategy?
It definitely has its risks.
Yeah.
And that's why Rich Dad always talked about diversification,
Okay.
spreading your investments. You don't want to rely on just one source of income or one type of investment.
Mm.
It's like that old saying about not putting all your eggs in one basket.
Right.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Okay, so we've talked about assets, liabilities, and the cash flow quadrant.
Right.
But what about taxes?
Yeah.
They seem like a huge part of the financial equation.
You're right. Taxes play a big role.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where things get a bit controversial with Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Okay.
Kiyosaki argues that the tax system can actually favor businesses and investors.
Hmm.
Remember, employees get taxed on their income first,
Right.
while businesses can deduct expenses before paying taxes.
So it's like different rules for different players.
Kind of.
Okay.
Kiyosaki explains how incorporating a business can offer tax advantages.
Mm-hmm.
For example, let's say you're a consultant making $100,000 a year.
Okay.
As an employee, you'd pay income tax on that full amount.
Right.
But if you're incorporated,
Yeah.
you could deduct business expenses,
Like what?
like your home office travel, even healthcare,
Wow.
before paying taxes.
Okay.
That could potentially save you thousands of dollars.
Wow. That's a huge difference. But it sounds complicated.
It can be.
Yeah.
And that's why Kiyosaki stresses the importance of educating yourself about tax laws and seeking expert advice.
Right.
It's not about dodging taxes. It's about understanding the rules and playing the game strategically.
It's like having a financial coach who knows the ins and outs of the system.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this leads us to another key lesson.
Okay.
The rich invent money.
Okay.
Now, I know that sounds kind of out there,
Right.
but Kiyosaki isn't talking about printing cash in your basement.
Okay.
It's about recognizing opportunities and being creative.
Okay.
Remember how Rich Dad flipped that property?
Yeah, that was a smart move.
He bought it cheap, renovated it,
Mm-hmm.
and sold it for a profit.
But not everyone's cut out to be a real estate mogul.
True, but that's just one example.
Okay.
Inventing money could be anything from starting a side business
Mm-hmm.
to finding innovative solutions to problems.
Right.
It's about seeing value where others don't and taking calculated risks.
So it's about being entrepreneurial even if you're not running a big company.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that ties into another point Kiyosaki makes,
Okay.
the importance of using OPM,
OPM.
or other people's money.
Now that sounds a little shady. Is he talking about borrowing from your friends?
Not exactly.
Okay.
It's about leveraging resources you don't personally own.
Okay.
For example, Rich Dad used bank loans to buy properties.
Oh, okay.
He didn't need to have all the cash up front.
Right.
He used the bank's money to create wealth for himself.
That makes sense, but it also sounds risky.
It can be.
Yeah.
And that's why Kiyosaki stresses the importance of doing your research
Yeah.
and understanding the terms of any agreement.
Right.
But when used strategically,
Yeah.
OPM can be a powerful tool for amplifying your returns.
So it's like a financial superpower, but one that needs to be handled carefully.
Exactly.
Okay.
And this leads us to another important lesson in Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Okay.
Work to learn, not to earn.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What does that mean exactly?
Kiyosaki argues that in today's rapidly changing world, focusing on acquiring skills is more valuable than just chasing a paycheck.
Okay.
Think about it. Job security isn't what it used to be.
Right.
But if you have valuable skills, you'll always be in demand.
So it's like investing in yourself.
Precisely.
Okay.
Kiyosaki encourages learning a variety of skills.
Like
Think things like sales, marketing, negotiation, and leadership. These are transferable skills that can be applied across different jobs and even in your personal life.
It's like becoming a financial Swiss Army knife ready for anything.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
And that's really what Rich Dad, Poor Dad is all about.
Okay.
Empowering yourself to create a life of financial freedom and abundance.
It definitely challenges a lot of conventional thinking about money.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you question those old sayings like, money doesn't grow on trees and you have to work hard to get ahead.
You're right.
Yeah.
Kiyosaki encourages us to think outside the box
Okay.
and to see opportunities where others might not. It's about changing your mindset and taking control of your financial destiny.
So instead of just waiting for a raise or hoping to win the lottery,
Right.
you're actively creating your own wealth. That's pretty empowering.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that leads us to another key concept in the book,
Okay.
overcoming fear.
Okay, I'm sensing a theme here.
Mhm.
A lot of this seems to be about mindset, not just money strategies.
You're spot on.
Okay.
Rich Dad taught Robert that fear can be a major roadblock to success.
Mm-hmm.
He believed that most people are held back by fear of failure, fear of risk,
Yeah.
even fear of success itself.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
It's easier to stay in your comfort zone, even if it's not where you want to be.
Right.
Yeah.
But Rich Dad encouraged Robert to step outside his comfort zone
Okay.
and to view failure not as an end, but as a learning opportunity.
Right.
It's about taking calculated risks and being willing to learn from your mistakes.
So it's like that saying, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Exactly. And Kiyosaki believes that taking calculated risks is essential for growth and success.
Mm.
He also emphasizes the importance of developing your financial intelligence.
Okay, so what exactly does financial intelligence mean?
It's more than just knowing how to balance a checkbook.
Okay.
It's about understanding how money works,
Okay.
the different asset classes, how to read financial statements,
Mm.
how to analyze investments.
Mm.
It's about becoming financially savvy and being able to make informed decisions.
It sounds like it takes a lot of effort and knowledge.
It does, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
Kiyosaki argues that traditional education often fails to equip us with the financial knowledge we need to thrive.
Right.
He encourages us to take responsibility for our own financial education
Mm.
and to seek out resources beyond the classroom.
So it's about becoming a lifelong learner when it comes to money.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground with Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
We have.
We talked about assets, liabilities, the cash flow quadrant,
Right.
taxes, and even inventing money. It's pretty clear this book challenges the traditional ways we think about wealth.
It certainly does.
Yeah.
One of the things that struck me while revisiting this book
Yeah.
is how relevant it still is today,
Mm-hmm.
even though it was written quite a while ago.
Right.
Kiyosaki's ideas about financial education,
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurship, and creating passive income streams
Right.
are more popular than ever.
You're right. It's like he was ahead of his time.
Yeah.
But for someone who's just starting out on their financial journey,
Mm-hmm.
all this information can be a bit overwhelming.
Yeah.
Where do you even begin?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And it leads us to one of Kiyosaki's most important and practical lessons,
Okay.
the importance of taking control of your financial future.
Okay.
He believes that financial freedom is achievable for anyone who is willing to learn to take action and make smart financial decisions.
Mm-hmm.
It's about breaking free from the mindset of working for money
Right.
and instead creating a life where money works for you.
Okay, I get that in theory, but how do you actually make that shift happen?
Right.
It seems like a huge leap from getting a paycheck every 2 weeks
Yeah,
to building wealth through assets and investments.
you're right. It's not an overnight transformation,
Okay.
but Kiyosaki provides a roadmap for how to start.
Okay.
He emphasizes a few key things.
All right.
First, commit to lifelong learning about personal finance.
Okay.
Don't just rely on what you learned in school or from your parents.
Right.
Seek out information, read books, take courses,
Mm-hmm.
and find mentors who can guide you.
So it's about becoming a financial expert in your own right.
Exactly.
Okay.
Second, be willing to take calculated risks.
Okay.
Don't let fear hold you back from pursuing opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you don't want to be reckless,
Right.
but understand that some level of risk is necessary for growth.
I guess it's like that old saying,
Yeah,
the biggest risk is not taking any risk at all.
precisely.
Okay.
And finally, believe in your ability to achieve your goals. Kiyosaki emphasizes that mindset is crucial.
Okay.
If you believe you can create wealth and achieve financial freedom,
Yeah.
you're much more likely to take the actions necessary to make it happen.
Okay, that makes sense. But where do you even start with setting those goals? It all seems so abstract when you're just starting out.
One of the most practical things Kiyosaki recommends
Okay.
is to write down your financial goals.
Okay.
Be specific, set deadlines,
Mm-hmm.
and break down big goals into smaller, actionable steps.
Okay.
It's like creating a roadmap for your financial future.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
It feels less overwhelming when you have a clear path laid out in front of you.
Right.
But what about the practical things? Like managing debt and building a good credit score?
Those are essential too.
Okay.
Kiyosaki talks a lot about the difference between good debt,
Okay.
debt used to acquire income-generating assets,
Mm-hmm.
and bad debt,
Okay.
debt used to buy things that lose value over time.
So like a mortgage on a rental property would be considered good debt.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's an investment that has the potential to generate income and appreciate in value.
Right.
But credit card debt, on the other hand, is usually considered bad debt
Mm-hmm.
because it carries high interest rates and doesn't really build wealth.
So it's about being smart about how you use debt and making sure it's working for you, not against you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And when it comes to credit scores,
Yeah.
Kiyosaki stresses the importance of establishing good credit habits early on.
Okay.
Pay your bills on time, use credit responsibly,
Mm-hmm.
and monitor your credit report regularly.
Okay.
A good credit score can open doors to better loan terms and other financial opportunities.
It's like building a solid financial foundation that will serve you well in the long run.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it all ties back to that key message of taking control.
Right.
You're not just at the mercy of your circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
You have the power to shape your financial future.
This has been a really enlightening deep dive into Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
It has.
It's a book that really makes you think differently about money
Yeah.
and challenges conventional wisdom.
It certainly does.
Yeah.
It's not just a how-to guide for getting rich.
Right.
but a call to action to become more financially savvy and to take ownership of your financial destiny.
And the great thing is, you don't have to be a millionaire to apply these principles.
Right.
Anyone can benefit from learning about personal finance,
Absolutely.
regardless of their income level or background.
Yeah. It's about empowering yourself to make informed decisions and to create a life of financial well-being.
Well, I know I've learned a lot from this deep dive, and I'm feeling inspired to take action. I think Kiyosaki would be proud.
I think so too. Remember, the journey to financial freedom starts with a single step.
Okay.
What will your first